Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at a filter shooting on the GH4. Most people actually get the Tiffen Black Pro Mist filter. This is actually the Tiffen Black Satin filter. What I've noticed about this filter is that it doesn't affect the lows or the shadows as much as Pro Mist filters. No doubt you've scrolled across the Tiffen Black Pro Mist filter, and then you've also looked at these black satin filters and wondered what they look like. So let's take a look at them today and see what's popping with them, man. What's popping with these filters? Okay, so we got the GH4 for today. Let's go ahead and screw this on. This lens that I'm using actually is the 50mm Super Takumar 1.4. Why can't I screw this on? This lens I actually used to shoot on quite a bit about 2 years ago. I don't know why I've stopped using it. After I repurchased this GH4, I started to look at some of the older lenses that I used to shoot with and broke this one out of its like early retirement days. But I have this attached to the GH4 using just a simple M42 to micro four thirds adapter. I've used this previously by sticking on an adapter plate onto this micro four or this M42 lens and converting it over into EF, and then taking that and putting it onto a speed booster, which was a micro four thirds to EF adapter. But it just seems like too much adaptance going on. So I just decided to use the M42 to micro four thirds. So let's check this out. Let's see what we can get today. Okay, so out here in front of a restaurant, I was kind of searching around for those Christmas lights or like the fairy lights, because it really kind of accentuates these diffusion filters. So if you guys can just take a look at those Christmas lights out in front of the restaurant there. And this is with the filter. And this is the same exact scene here without the filter. Kind of clears it up a little bit, looks a little bit less blurry. It really just all depends on what you like to see in your footage or for whatever project you're working on. So let's go ahead and check out another scene here. Okay, we have a second scene here. We have a lot of headlights coming into the shot. One key thing I really wanted to point out when using these filters is that there is a ghosting effect that typically occurs when shooting at night, and it really starts to manifest itself. I notice when you start to shoot at wide open apertures like f1.4, f1.8. Right now I'm shooting at f2, and if I can replicate this ghosting, you can actually see it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the filter off. You can see the ghosting over towards the top left of the frame. Okay, so there it is without the filter. As you can see, the ghosting goes away completely. And as I put the filter back in front of the lens, you can start to see those ghosting effects start to come back into the image. So this is without the filter, and this is with the filter. And once again, this is the last scene I'm going to shoot for tonight. This is with the filter, and I'll go ahead and take the filter off. Once again, you can see that ghosting effect over on the left side of the frame here. Okay, and that is without the filter. As you can see here, you can see the severe ghosting that happens over on the left side of the frame. So this is just kind of something to be aware of if you're shooting at night, wide open. And what I mean by wide open is you don't necessarily have to be wide open, just at a lower aperture like f2. Right now I'm at f2, and you can, see that effect happening pretty dominantly there. So once again, this is before, this is with the filter. I'll try and hold it steady for y'all. This is with the filter, and this is without the filter. Okay, a couple key things to note when shooting with these diffusion filters is that if you shoot them in low light situations, like at night or in a studio, and you have any practicals in the scene, like what you see here in this particular scene, it's gonna ghost. You're basically gonna see double images of any practical that's in the scene. Particularly when shooting in a lower f-stop like f2.8, f2.2, these cheaper kind of budget friendly diffusion filters that don't have the anti-glare coatings on them like you would see in like the Tiffen Black Pro Mist filter that runs about $450. You're going to see the effects of not having these anti-reflective coatings on this glass. Essentially, if you spent about $80, $90, $100 on a diffusion filter, it's going to do this. I used to actually have the Tiffen Black Pro Mist filter, and I can attest to the more expensive versions of these diffusion filters not having this ghosting effect. You will even see these ghosting effects on like cheaper lenses. I used to shoot on the Panasonic 25mm f1.7, and if you guys have ever used that lens, you'll notice it does the very same thing. And so I shot at night with practicals in the scene, like these light bulbs that you guys see here, on purpose, so you guys can see what happens if you guys decide to use a Black Pro Mist filter by Tiffen, like the cheaper circular versions, or the black satin like what you guys see depicted in these images here. And so this is not necessarily to deter you away from using them, it's just to make you aware that this does happen. If you were shooting a talking head and you didn't have any practicals in the scene, most likely it wouldn't do this. Or if you decide to use a black satin or a Black Pro Mist filter, the circular type, during the daytime, then you're not going to see this ghosting effect happen either. It only happens during low lit situations where you have to dip down into the 1.8 or the f2 aperture range. Well, that's all for this video, guys. I appreciate y'all stopping by. If content like this interests you, be sure to check out some of the other videos on this channel. In the last video, we talked about shooting 96 frames per second on the GH4 in 1080 using something called VFR, or variable frame rate, and whether that looks good upscaling it into something like 2.6K or possibly 4K. Other than that, that's all, guys. I'll see y'all in the next video, man. Peace.